to Brown Girl Book Lover. I am Leslie Ann Murray. Today is a special day because I'm in Brooklyn. Hey! And I'm at Brooklyn Tees on Nostrand Avenue interviewing short story writer John Corcoran about his book, The Rope Swing. Welcome, John.
Thank you. Hello, viewers.
John and I went to Rutgers MFA Creative Writing program, and after creative writing, did you get a book deal right after the MFA dream?
Yeah, about a year. It took me about a year though,
Yeah.
but I did get one. Yes. So The Rope Swing is a short story collection set in rural West Virginia, mostly in Appalachia. I'm originally from there, and I wanted to write a book of stories about the changing small town America, the world that I saw changing before my eyes. So I spent some time writing a linked collection in the same small town, and I wanted to show a bunch of different voices, a bunch of different lived experiences of what it was like to live in a place that was changing on a constant basis due to industry, economy, changing morals, changing values. A lot of the stories in the collection deal with queer individuals in the middle of rural West Virginia, which is great.
Yeah.
And it's a really hard subject to write about, and it's not something that's written about too often. And as a gay person myself, I thought it was important that people started hearing the voices of people who lived in places like West Virginia or Kentucky or Tennessee or any of these other Appalachian states. And so I hope readers from across small town America can relate with it.
Why did you open the story with, first of all, the point of view is in the we perspective, the community perspective, and it's about this train that is departing this town that will no longer be in the town. Why start the collection like that?
So I think when a lot of people think of small town America, they start with the heyday, which is the industrial boom town, the coal mines, the timber industry, these thriving small towns. I grew up in the world after that, and so I wanted to really focus on how people make sense of a place that's no longer what it was originally designed to be, right? So we have a small town that's depended on its livelihood on the timber industry, on the coal industry, and what happens when those things are gone. So setting this first story, Appalachian Swan Song, in the communal voice, showing these people scared about the change that's come, some people not even realizing how the world is changing around them. I wanted to illustrate how change happens both quickly and slowly, and people don't even always notice what's happening to their communities around them.
Why do you think people in this book, in the characters in this book, and people in rural towns choose to stay?
Yeah. So when we grow up in a small town anywhere in America, when you grow up in a small town anywhere in America, you rely on these stories, the folklores, the histories. These are the things that shape your identity as a person. We grow up hearing stories of how we were once great, right? That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
We grow up hearing stories of the people who shaped our communities. We grow up hearing stories of how we shaped America in our own small little way. And so for me, I wanted to capture the essence of, what happens to people when that identity, the thing that shaped that identity, the thing that shaped the stories we tell ourselves, goes away, right? And it's scary.
Yeah.
People cling to these stories for lifetimes, even after the world has changed around them. I mean, and it's hard, right? So when we're in our small communities, we grow used to, we love the landscapes around us. We love our blocks. We love our houses. We love our families. We have ties to these communities, and it's not always easy to pick up and go somewhere to start anew. And so a lot of people stay put, right? They stay put, and some people do try to change the world around them, but for some people, they can't quite find their way, you know? And so I think for me in that first story, when the train goes away, people are scared even if they're not verbalizing it. They're frightened of what they're seeing around them. They're frightened of how the world is changing around them, and they don't know what to do, right? And no one's giving them an answer. You get platitudes, but no one gives them a real answer about how to make their communities strong and safe, and places that they can survive in for generations.
And I think that further disenfranchised them because they don't know what to do. There's not a solution to help them. The characters are trapped in their poverty. They're trapped in their dilapidated town, and they're trapped in terms of their not being able to express their sexual desires, right? But they're able to escape briefly through going to the lake and swimming. And what does the rope swing means to these two characters in the title story?
Yeah, the beauty of small towns, one of the beauty of small town America is there are places to hide. There are corners to slip behind. There are patches of wood and water where you can live your secret life outside of the eyes of the public, right? So for me, this story showed that the landscape was not always so malicious, right? It was also a balm and a comfort. The river, the trees, these are things that do provide some potential hope. The rope swing as an object, I don't know if you've ever gone to a river and jumped on a rope swing before, and it's such a fun and freeing and wild experience, right? You grab onto this object, you jump over the bank of a river, you hold on for dear life, and then you let go and you trust that the water is going to catch you. You know, you trust that the land is going to protect you when you fall. But it's scary jumping onto that thing in the first place. So for them, that was the perfect analogy for me, for two boys who had feelings for each other, but lived in a place where it wasn't necessarily okay to express those feelings.
When reading The Rope Swing, you see that struggle, that internal struggle, right? The decision to love someone that it may not be accepted in your town, in your community.
And I think a lot of the stories in the book focus on those moments of indecision. They focus on people making choices about whether to stay and fight or whether to go and let things go also at the same time, right? So this book is, a lot of my stories are characters set on that cusp, right? They're on the cusp of big change, the possibility of change, the possibility of living life the way they want to live it, of the possibility of jumping in a car and never coming back too, right? So I think that story captured my heart. The rope swing that captured what I felt a lot of people, gay or straight, go through in small town America, go through anywhere really. So for me, it was important to get this book, my first book, out about this subject matter in particular, because I wanted the next version of me rummaging through the stacks of a library to find the book that spoke to him or her about this.
And this is why I wanted to speak to you about your book, because I think, Brown Girl Book Lover is about reading books that are shifting the canon, and I do think this book is shifting the literary canon because you're incorporating all these ideas that we don't really talk about or aren't necessarily in books, right?
So when you're feeling lost and alone as a queer person, it's easy to dwell on those images, to obsess over them, to think that all of your relationships are forever going to be linked with violence and sadness and depression, I think a lot of people who grow up gay see all of these negative images all the time and internalize them, right? They internalize this fear of violence. So this man in A Touch, he's snapping a little bit, right? He's giving in to all of those pictures he's seen. He's giving in to all of those things. But I wanted to end the story on a hopeful note. So I think by the end, he finds his moment of light. He finds his moment of hope in a dark world.
Which I like, and that moment is just a touch. It's just the ending of the story. It's not overdone. I really like that. Thank you so much. I'm really proud of you. Good luck with everything. I can't wait to read your novel.
Good luck with Brown Girl Book Lover. You're going to do great with it. It's fantastic.
Thank you.